Alright, so we got another preset from Mass Effect that I am going to attempt to recreate in starting from scratch with Mass Effect over here. So on the left is the reference, what I'm trying to create, and on the right is what I am doing to kind of mimic it. So here's the preset. So very much like a electric guitar kind of sound. Pretty cool, especially considering it's just synthesized. It's not actually a guitar. So I'm just going to go through panel by panel and we're going to try to recreate it. So first thing I see is it's using this. Well, let's go from left to right. So this is using glide. So let's turn glide on here. And then it looks like it's 30.3 seconds. Can I not just type it in? Apparently not. So we'll set that there. Cool. So I think it'll also be in mono, which we'll get to down here. So it'll slide in and only play one note at the same time. Alright, so then we need to change the first oscillator here. I'm gonna see where it's under harmonics. Okay. So smoothly. Alright, get out of here. There. And that's pretty much all the way down. Yeah. And then it looks like it has just a little bit of tuning. So just cents instead of, I think, like major semitones. And then that would be just about it for that, it looks like. Then looks like we have to change. From what I've read in the manual, this is wavetable mode, so it changes how I think this, like when you change the dial, it actually does something to it so that it's not just the standard. It actually changes it as it goes. So like it changes the sound. It's doing some kind of modulation, I'm guessing. And it looks like it has the formant down to 30.6. Let's put you there. Cool. And then I think that's it for there. It looks like it's sending something to an aux, which I guess we'll find out later. And then I'm just going to go ahead and do the modulation as we go, so or the macros as we go. So here it looks like it has the modulation wheel set to there, and it can turn it up to about there. Cool. Moving on. We're going to move to the other oscillator here, which actually it looks like it just mixes it in. So we're going to add envelope to here and then turn it up. And then we're also going to just... How do I delete the macro assignment? Can I just delete it? Remove. Okay. And then we're going to remove that too. Okay. So, just really quickly looking here. This looks like this is down here. So it looks like it's just kind of really quickly coming in and dipping out. Just like a low pluck hit. And then this is... So I looked this up. This is phase modulation down here. So it's taking... in this case, the first oscillator is not sending anything to the phase modulation, either 1 or 2. But the second one is, because it's clicked on here, so we need to turn aux and PM1 on. So, and then it looks like the phase 1 modulation is set to about 54.1, I believe it said. And phase modulation 2 is not being used. And then this is assigned to the first macro. So that, and then it's set somewhere around here. Oh, I did that wrong. It should be directly on the knob. And then it's, yeah, somewhere there. So that already changed the sound quite a bit. And I have no idea what this aux does exactly, but it looks like the second macro can do something to it. Maybe we'll find out later what that aux actually goes to. And then I think that is it for this whole panel here. So we'll move on to the noise panel. So I'm guessing we get some distortion kind of sound from this panel. So it looks like the white noise is pretty high up. Maybe right about there. And it looks like the macro number 4 is there, and it has like an inverse relationship. And by default, it's just set to 0, so we might not even really hear it unless we play with it. And then we don't use... We don't really do anything with it. Okay, and then moving on to the filter. Okay, first of all, we don't have a macro here, so let's remove that. We also don't have the 5 macro there, so we'll remove that. And then we have the low pass 4 and resonance set to 0. We have, by default, the frequency set to 33.8. There we go. The gain... I did not look that up, so I don't know what that is. But my guess is how aggressive the filter is. And then this is, I looked this one up. This one's key tracking, so it basically changes how the filter works based on what key you're hitting. So I think the filter isn't quite as aggressive the higher up the keys you go. And that's pretty much it. We are not getting any sound right now. So now we need to add, it looks like macro 3, which I don't know why I didn't remove it from here, but it shouldn't be there. But it should be here. And it should be like right about there. And the default position right now, when the, yeah, so there we go. So that just opens the filter up a little bit. Have to look up what that does later. And that and then we just need envelope 2. Envelope 2 also affects this, and it just looks like it just gives it a little bit more of a pluckiness. Okay, moving on to the next panel here. We have distortion. Looks like. Yes, and we need to click on that. And it's using this, whatever this is. I assume this is like just like an algorithm or something. Mix all the way up, drive a little bit down, and then no idea what that is. Have to look that up later. Then we have, I guess, another oscillator added. So just stacking on more oscillation. It looks like it is a sine wave. Mix is 100%. Well, if mix is 100%. And then the phase is there. There must be some routing changes, so we'll see that later. And then last but not least, we have some kind of utility. Oh, come on. There we go. So it looks like it's just another like filter basically. So we have LP1 and we have HP2, and LP1 is all the way open. LP2 is just down a little, or HP2 is down a little bit. And then one has the mod wheel. So let's throw that guy there, and that Foley effects. Oh, okay, so it's an inverse relationship. And then 4 goes on this guy and turns it up a little bit. What do we have 4 set at? It's okay, 0. Cool. And that's it for this panel. So then we move to amplitude. We're going to put this guy here, and as we turn 6 up, it looks like it turns it down. At least the way I'm seeing right now. That's all that is. And then onto this panel here, the effects panel. So let's start with the stereo expander. So that's all the way open. And then 5 is essentially just controlling the width, it looks like. That's it. Moving on, what is NLL? Nonlinear lab. Some kind of like distortion. Make it stereo. Change it to overdrive. And then dial the drive back, but have it mapped to 6, so it'll actually be pretty high because the 6 is set all the way to 100%. Inertia all the way up. That's cool. And then whatever this is. Starting to sound like a guitar now. Mix all the way up. All right. Down here, this really doesn't have a lot of modulation, so that'll make this easy. So we'll start here. We'll remove that. And then that as well, because we'll have to slightly change how that's working. So we'll put that guy there, and knob 7 will control the attack. It starts at 0, and then knob 8 will control the release. Looks like the release is a little bit lower than that by default. I think the sustain is turned down a little bit, probably to give it a little bit more of a plucky feel. And then hold. Delay is a little higher, or decay. Hold, and then release. Okay. So that's it there. Ooh. And then we have the modulation envelope here, which is being used in a couple spots. Shape, peak, shape, sustain, velocity, envelope level. Looks like the only thing there is the attack by default is a little slower. And there is a knob for that to okay. The release is a little bit longer here too. And so is the decay. I think that's everything there though. Then we're not using anything else. So then it's just the voice panel, which it is mono. That's what I thought. It's not legato though. Okay, so that controls whether we go back down to the like a held note. So interesting. Okay. And then nothing else there that I can see. And then last is the routing, which yeah, it's okay. So that makes sense because right now the oscillator is taking over everything. So we'll leave that as is. The oscillator needs to come down here and basically just be a fourth or a third oscillator that goes straight to our EQ. And then the filter just goes straight into the utility instead of through the oscillator. And I think that's everything. And then the routing doesn't change. There we go. I'd say we're pretty close. Pretty cool. And that is that plugin. Thanks for watching.